I'm still trembling. Not because it was cold, but because what happened at Hoosier Pass simply doesn't make sense. If you've ever driven through that mountain at night, you know there's something strange in the air. But that night, it was much worse. I was driving down the road when I saw something that made me stop the car immediately. At first, it just looked like a blur crossing the road. I thought it was an animal, but when the headlights illuminated it better, I realized it was a person, standing in the middle of the road, motionless, pale skin almost gleaming against the fog, and then, in the blink of an eye, it disappeared, literally, without running, without turning, just vanished. I decided to pull over, and when I got out, the feeling was suffocating, as if the air was heavy. The silence was so absolute it felt wrong. That's when I noticed something even more bizarre: footprints in the snow. But they didn't have a logical pattern. They didn't go in a straight line. They formed circles, as if someone had been walking around themselves for hours. When I got back to the car to turn on the camera and record everything, I realized my phone was recording on its own, and the audio wasn't mine. It was heavy breathing, someone murmuring something I couldn't understand, repeating words as if they were outside the car. But I was alone. When I listened to the amplified audio later, I noticed something that chilled me to the bone. In the background, almost inaudible, there was a second voice saying, "He saw." And it was exactly at that moment, in that spot, that my car lights flashed, as if something had passed in front of me. But nothing, absolutely nothing was there. I left Hoosier Pass that night without looking back. But since then, I can't forget the feeling that it didn't want me to be there. And that maybe it's still watching me.
Let me take you back to that night. It was late October, around 11:30 at night, and I was driving through the Colorado Rockies, heading home after visiting a friend in Breckenridge. Hoosier Pass sits at over 11,000 feet elevation, connecting Park County and Summit County. If you've never been there, picture this: winding roads carved into the mountainside, dense forests of pine and aspen pressing in from both sides. And at night, a darkness so complete it feels like the world ends just beyond your headlights. The temperature had dropped below freezing, and a thin layer of fog was starting to roll across the asphalt like ghostly fingers reaching out from the trees. My radio kept cutting in and out, switching between static and fragments of old songs I didn't recognize. I kept adjusting the dial, but nothing would hold. Eventually, I just turned it off, and that's when I noticed how quiet everything had become. Not peaceful quiet, wrong quiet. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring because your brain, QAIN, accepted there's absolutely no sound at all. I was about halfway through the pass when my headlights caught something moving ahead. At first, just a shadow, a darker shape against the already dark road. My first thought was elk or maybe a bear. Wildlife crossings are common up there, especially at night when they come down from the higher elevations to feed. I slowed down, gripping the steering wheel a little tighter, my foot hovering over the brake. But as I got closer, the shape became clearer, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't an animal, it was a person, standing completely still in the middle of the road, facing my direction. I slammed on the brakes. My car skidded slightly on the cold pavement before coming to a full stop, maybe 30 feet away from this figure. My high beams were pointed directly at them now, and what I saw made absolutely no sense. It was a man, or at least it had the shape of a man, but something about him was fundamentally wrong. His skin was pale, almost luminescent in the harsh light, like porcelain or bone. He wore what looked like dark, old-fashioned clothing, the kind you'd see in photographs from the 1800s. But his face is what I can't forget. It was expressionless, completely blank, with eyes that reflected my headlights like an animal's would. He didn't blink, didn't move, just stared directly at me. I sat there frozen, my hands locked on the steering wheel, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. Every instinct screamed at me to reverse, to turn around, to get away from whatever this was. But I couldn't move. It was like being trapped in sleep paralysis, conscious but completely unable to act. We stayed like that for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 10 or 15 seconds. And then, in the literal blink of an eye, he was gone. Not running, not walking away, just gone. Vanished into thin air as if he'd never been there at all. 1 second illuminated in my headlights, the next second nothing but empty road and swirling fog. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I told myself I'd imagined it, that the altitude and the late hour were playing tricks on my mind. But I knew what I'd seen. I knew it was real. Against every survival instinct the first possessed, I put the car in park, left the engine running, and opened the door. The cold hit me immediately, that biting mountain cold that goes straight through your jacket and into your bones. But it wasn't just the temperature that made me shiver. The moment I stepped outside, I felt it. That oppressive, suffocating sensation of being watched by something I couldn't see. The silence was even worse outside the car. No wind rustling through the trees. No distant sounds of other vehicles on the highway. No animals calling in the darkness. Nothing. Just my own breathing and the idle rumble of my car's engine. I walked slowly toward the spot where the figure had been standing, my phone's flashlight cutting through the fog in a weak beam. And that's when I noticed the snow. There was a light dusting of it on the shoulder of the road, just enough to show tracks. And there were tracks, but they didn't make any sense. The footprints didn't follow any logical path. They weren't leading to or from anywhere. Instead, they formed tight circles, overlapping each other again and again, as if someone had been walking in the same small area for hours, round and round in an endless loop. I counted at least 20 complete circuits, the prints getting deeper and more defined toward the center. Some of them looked fresh, the edges still crisp and clear. Others looked older, partially filled in by falling snow. But how was that possible? I'd just seen him standing still. I knelt down to get a closer look, and that's when my phone started acting strange. The flashlight flickered once, twice, then the screen lit up on its own. My camera app had opened by itself and was recording. I could see the red record button pulsing in the corner of the screen. I definitely hadn't pressed anything. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone, but I forced myself to hold it steady and pointed at the circular footprints. I recorded for maybe 30 seconds, panning slowly across the bizarre pattern. And then I heard it. Breathing. Heavy, labored breathing coming through my phone speaker. But it wasn't my breathing. It was too deep, too rhythmic, too deliberate. I stopped moving, stopped breathing myself. And in that moment of absolute stillness, I heard something else underneath the breathing. A voice, whispering, murmuring words I couldn't quite make out, like someone speaking just below the threshold of understanding. The sound seemed to be coming from all around me, not just from the phone. It was behind me, beside me, above me. I spun around, shining my light into the trees across the road. Back toward my car. Nothing. Nobody, but the whispering continued. And now I could feel vibrations through the ground beneath my feet, as if something massive was moving underneath the earth. I ran back to my car, threw myself into the driver's seat, and locked all the doors. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely grip the steering wheel. The recording was still going on my phone, so I stopped it and immediately played it back, dreading what I might hear. The breathing was there, just as clear and disturbing as before. The murmuring was there too, slightly more distinct now, but there was something else. Something I hadn't noticed in the moment. Underneath everything, almost too quiet to hear, was a second voice. Crystal clear, speaking perfect English. And it said just two words that made my blood run cold. He saw. At that exact moment, my car's headlights flickered rapidly. on and off, like someone was flipping a switch. And in one of those brief moments of illumination, I saw it again. The figure standing right in front of my car, less than 5 feet from my bumper. Same pale skin, same old-fashioned clothes, same empty, reflective eyes. I didn't slow down until I was completely off the pass and back in civilization, with streetlights and other cars and normal people going about their normal lives. I pulled into a gas station parking lot somewhere near Fairplay and sat there for almost an hour, trying to stop shaking, trying to convince myself that what I'd experienced had a rational explanation. But I couldn't. I can't. Because when I got home and really examined that recording, when I amplified the audio and cleaned up the background noise, I found something else. In the last 3 seconds before my headlights started flickering, there's another sound. Footsteps. Multiple sets of footsteps. At night, I've started noticing things. Small things at first. My car's headlights flickering when I'm alone at night, even though I've had them checked and they're working perfectly. The feeling of being watched when I'm in open spaces, that prickling sensation on the back of my neck, and the dreams. Almost every night now, I dream I'm back at the pass, back in that suffocating silence. And in those dreams, the figure is always there, always watching, always waiting. Sometimes he's far away, but each night he gets a little closer. I haven't driven through Hoosier Pass since that night. I take the long way around now, adding almost 2 hours to certain trips. People ask me why, and I can't explain it without sounding insane. But I know I can't go back there. Because whatever it was that I saw, whatever impossible thing exists in that thin place where our world touches something else, it knows me now. It saw me, and I think part of it followed me home. I'm sharing this story because I need you to understand. If you ever find yourself driving through Hoosier Pass late at night and you see something standing in the road, something that doesn't quite look right, don't stop. Don't investigate. Don't try to rationalize it. Just keep driving and don't look back. Because some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some things aren't meant to be seen. And once you've seen them, once they've seen you, there's no going back to the comfortable illusion that we understand the world we live in. Where are you watching this from? What country? What city? Have you ever experienced something you couldn't explain? Something that shattered your understanding of reality? Share your story in the comments, because maybe, just maybe, we're not as alone in these experiences as we think. And maybe by sharing, by acknowledging what we've seen, we can find some protection against the things that watch us from the darkness. Stay safe out there. And remember, some roads are better left untraveled.